Hi, my name is Cordy Anderson, and I'm one of the Therapeutic Touch teachers that are certified by Therapeutic Touch International Association. I'm going to share with you an introduction to Therapeutic Touch using a PowerPoint and a little bit of explanation, plus some hands-on uh, experience of energy. So if you'll bear with me while I bring it up. So this introduction to Therapeutic Touch. Simply defined, therapeutic touch is a holistic, evidence-based therapy that incorporates the intentional and compassionate use of universal energy to promote balance and well-being. And when we say evidence-based, the thing that you need to know is that many, many nurses have done research on therapeutic touch in order to get their doctorate degrees. They've done it for their doctorate dissertations, and a lot of that research is available on this website. A little bit of history about therapeutic touch. It is a synthesis of many ancient healing modalities, as many cultures have energetic forms of healing. However, therapeutic touch is not connected to any specific culture or religious system, allowing for use in a variety of Western medical settings. Therapeutic touch was developed in the early 1970s by Dr. Dolores Krieger and Dora Kuntz, a clairvoyant. The process can be done without touching at all or in combination with light touch on the back and arms and legs. More and more, we are finding support for this awareness through the work of quantum physicists like David Bohm and others. Dee developed therapeutic touch while a professor of nursing at New York University. Her initial research showed that therapeutic touch can affect and increase hemoglobin levels. These studies have actually been replicated at least 2 more times since the first study. Dee taught us and the students at New York University until she was in her 70s, and then she retired, or as she calls it, retreaded, and then continued to teach at her home in Montana. She died on June 16th, 2019, and has left her land and home as a place for practitioners to gather and explore and dialogue about therapeutic touch. In addition to being able to see energy, Dora was dedicated to the scientific validation of energetic systems. She studied with many physicians to understand her gift and be able to make sense of energetic patterns. Dora believed that the ability to help others energetically was and is a natural human potential. Dora was in her 70s when they developed therapeutic touch, the process, and was teaching until 3 months before she died at the age of 95. What happens when we feel compassion? Dora would observe nurses with patients and mothers with her child, and she could see the energetic interaction that was happening. She believed that when compassion is triggered and combined with an intention to help, that a supportive, energetic interaction takes place. Some of the documented benefits of therapeutic touch. First, an initial relaxation response, usually within the first 2 to 4 minutes. The person decreases their perception of anxiety and decreases their perception of discomfort. A recipient may also feel a sense of well-being due to the increased energy flow. Therapeutic touch can enhance wound healing, and it supports and helps regulate immune function. It's also a benefit to the practitioner, for when we use this universal healing energy that surrounds us and draw it through us, we too benefit because we are filled with that energy. I want to stop the PowerPoint at this moment and show you a little bit about the energy with yourself. I have 2 magnets here, and when I hold them about 1 inch to a 1/2 inch apart, I can feel the pull of the magnetic force. When I turn one against the other, I can feel that energetic push. I can roll it around and I can actually feel that magnetic field. It's very difficult to push the magnets together. Now, what I suggest you do is take your own hands, putting them about 1 foot apart, and slowly bring them together and slowly bring them apart. Do that a few times until you begin to feel something between your hands. It could feel bouncy, it could feel staticky, it could feel maybe even a temperature. Sometimes people feel heat, sometimes people feel cool, but eventually there comes a place where you actually feel some pressure. It's almost as though you're holding a balloon between your hands. And what you are feeling when that happens is your own field, because we do not stop at our skin. Our energetic field basically goes infinitely, but it at least goes, the second densest part of our field beyond the physical is about 2 to 4 inches away from the body. And that's where we do therapeutic touch. When we're doing therapeutic touch, we are working with our hands about 2 to 4 inches from the body. Let's go back to the PowerPoint now. Of therapeutic touch has several steps. And when we're teaching this process, we're teaching it kind of in a linear fashion. But once you learn all the steps, therapeutic touch is actually a flow between the steps. It's more like a dance. So the steps that we teach are centering and grounding, assessment, rebalancing, how to know that you're at the end, and then encourage people to rest and reflect. This is a picture of someone centering behind the person that they're going to be doing therapeutic touch with. The person is becoming peaceful, becoming still, connecting to source energy, and asking to be an instrument of healing. This state is not only what we do at the beginning, but we sustain it throughout the therapeutic touch process. The other part to this is the grounding, putting our roots into the earth. Then we assess the field. We use our hands to move through the field in a very systematic way so that we perceive the energy from the person, and we can begin to notice blockages or congestion or different things. Different things touch our hands. Sometimes it feels like a little lightning bolt. Sometimes it feels like radio static. There's all different things. Sometimes it feels hot. Sometimes it feels cold. But these are the things that we teach and learn in the classes. The rebalancing phase is the phase of the therapeutic touch process where we're actually working with the person's energy, setting our intention for their wholeness, for their highest good. And we begin this by clearing or smoothing the energy, not just as though you would spread peanut butter on a sandwich, but when we do therapeutic touch, we recognize that the body is not solid and that our energetic fingers go out, basically forever, but at least a couple of feet. So as we're doing therapeutic touch, we're going through the field, not just on the field. The other thing we do in rebalancing is called modulating or directing, where we modulate the energy that is coming through us and direct it to an area in the body that may be in need of healing. Somebody may be in pain. There may be a fracture that needs to be healed, those kinds of things. And then there comes a time after, 12 to 20 minutes where you begin to notice that the field is very smooth now, and it's very even, and it's very balanced. That's what we're aiming for, is smooth and balanced field. And we begin to notice that with our hands and maybe even with our inner knowing. So that's when we know we are complete in the therapeutic touch process. And we do one final assessment and probably end either at the shoulders or the feet. And then we give the person a chance to rest. If possible, it's great if they can lie down, maybe offer them a blanket and eventually some water after they get up. And then it's a time for the practitioner to reflect on what's happened and recall, take a moment to document what has happened. And this is one of the many ways that we reinforce the process and become more and more aware of what we're doing. For more information about therapeutic touch, you can see a couple of videos that are demonstrations of therapeutic touch right next to this video. You can also email ttia@therapeutictouch.org and get on the weekly e-news, an e-newsletter, or join Therapeutic Touch International Association. Our calendar is available to you to find out where there are classes, and also there may be a person in your area that is teaching, so that, there's a lot of Zoom classes going on, but there may also be one near you, so you could go to an in-person class. And then look at the member page for a listing of practitioners near you if you'd like to receive a therapeutic touch session. That concludes the PowerPoint here. And I just want to thank you for joining me to witness this introduction to therapeutic touch. Thanks so much, everybody.